Test footage, video and audio. Real speed video test. The following outdoor footage was shot in Canon Log 2 and XF AVC YCC 422 10-bit with a bit rate of 480. The resolution was 4096 by 2160 intra-frame at 23.98 frames per second. ISO and base ISO were set to 800. In my opinion, the footage looks great, and the dynamic range of the camera did a great job of keeping a lot of detail in the shadows and highlights. I also think that the image is quite clean. Slow motion video test. This footage was shot in Canon Log 2 and XF AVC YCC 422 10-bit with a bit rate of 240. The resolution was 4096 by 2160 intra-frame. This is 60 frames per second slow motion. ISO and base ISO were set to 800. To my eye, even at the lower bit rate, the slow motion footage still looks great, even on fast moving water. Real speed raw video test. Next, let's test out some footage shot in Canon Cinema Raw Lite, shot in 6K 6000 by 3164. Just so we can look at some very detailed shots, I switched to my trusty old Sigma 105mm f2.8 EX DG OS HSM macro lens. To me, this footage looks really nice. I only added a LUT to it in Premiere Pro. I did not do any noise reduction. Slow motion raw video test. In order to shoot 60 frames per second slow motion in RAW LT, or light, you have to change the camera from full frame to super 35mm cropped. I wish this camera could shoot 60 frames per second in full frame, but as of now, it cannot. That being said, it still looks very good to me. Base ISO low light test. I switched back to the Canon RF 24-105mm lens. I also switched back to shooting Canon Log 2 in XF AVC YCC 422 10-bit with a bit rate of 480. Here's the camera recording with ISO and base ISO set at 800. It's a clean image but very dark, no surprises there. Now we are shooting with an ISO and base ISO set to 3200. It looks good to me, but still a bit dark. Finally, we are shooting at an ISO and base ISO set at 12,800. It's definitely a little noisier, but not bad in my opinion, considering the lighting is coming from a candle that is sitting in a heavily tinted red glass. Controlled light test footage. We are shooting Canon Log 2 and XF AVC YCC 422 10-bit with a bit rate of 480. I did a simple lighting setup, thanks to my wife for sitting in after a long day of work. I think the shot looks decent. It also shows the versatility of the 24-105mm zoom lens. The wider shot is at 50mm if I recall, and the tighter shot is at 85mm. With this lens, I could zoom out even wider or go in even tighter. Very handy. Human autofocus test. Next is a test of the autofocus system. It was well below zero outside on this day, so I did it pretty quickly. First, here's me walking toward the camera with autofocus on, with the zoom lens set to 24mm. Keep in mind, there are a lot of autofocus settings, including how quickly it responds, so results vary depending on settings, but I thought that the autofocus in this camera did a really good job. Now for another test. The lens is zoomed in at 105mm. That's way tougher for a camera to focus. Still, the camera did a good job in my opinion. Animal autofocus test. I also tested the autofocus on my cats with the camera set to animal. Again, the Canon C80 did a great job as far as I could tell. Hollywood Blackmagic filter test. I have a lens filter made by Schneider. It's the 82mm Hollywood Blackmagic quarter filter. In case you are curious about the look of this filter on the Canon C80, I thought I'd shoot some test footage with it. I don't think it's necessary, but some of you might like it. First up, a simple audio test recorded with a microphone hooked up to the camera with phantom power on. This is an audio test of the Canon C80. On headphones, the audio sounds very clean and clear. I do not hear much background noise. I definitely do not hear the fan on the camera. This concludes the audio test. Well, I hope that you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe.